Hello and welcome to another Terrace podcast after another bonkers weekend in the Scottish Premiership, in what has just been a bonkers season. To talk through all 6 matches from this weekend, I am joined by Tony Anderson. How are you doing, Tony?
Oh, I'm good, mate. It's nice to see you. You well?
Yes.
You must be on cloud fucking 9, and I'm sick of it. I'm fucking sick of it.
Claudio 9, to steal one of Joel's puns from earlier in the season. Been on Claudio 9 since yesterday afternoon. And into the watching the Old Firm game today, which we are recording pretty much at the conclusion of. I think we'll start there, Tony.
Why not?
Rangers 2, Celtic 2. Talk to me.
Great game.
Yes.
Like, we're going to just even if we just take away all the context and stuff like that, it was an absolute rip-roaring game, and Rangers started like a train. The place was absolutely bouncing. Ibrox, like when it's like that, Ibrox, it does feel like one of the most difficult places to go and play, possibly in Europe. Really, I mean, if you remember that Europa League run when they caught that momentum and the fans were into it, it's a proper cauldron, and Celtic really looked like they were wilting in it, and there was a period in that first half where you were thinking this could end up getting really, really nasty for Celtic. And Rangers they seem to just concentrate everything on Arojo down Celtic's right-hand side, and Moore and Romans they were toying with them, really. Yeah. And they just looked like Rangers were just able to do what they want in that first half.
Aye. Moore especially was unbelievable. And Romans was, every time the ball went near Arojo, they were just pressuring him. And I think you saw at Tynecastle a couple of months ago that he just punts the ball aimlessly if you pressure him quite a lot of the time.
He looks like quite an emotional player, eh? You do look like you can get under his skin. And he did look like he sort of like basically was the whole of the Celtic team, really. He was like that. He really looked like he wilted in that, and I don't know if I rate the guy, if I'm being frank. I know he had that really good moment against Kilmarnock when they come back, but yeah, like you say, it looked like it was a tactical thing from Rangers to go at him and to press him. They really done that. And Romans down that left-hand side, he's a really good player. Like so intelligent, always makes the right decisions, always moves in the right way. Just looks like one of those players that you'd really, really like to play with. And like you're saying, with Moore in front of him, who's now, well, I mean, we'll come on to Chermiti, but like with Moore and Chermiti, it's like, it's hard to believe that they are the same players that we saw in the under Russell Martin, for example.
Yeah, it certainly is. Sticking with Celtic and specifically their defence in that first half, I suppose one of the mitigating factors for Arojo was Dane Murray playing inside him. And I think it's not just to pick on Dane Murray, it's to look at the state of that Celtic defence as a whole. And how is that Celtic's defence going into such a big game? Kieran Tierney, I know he's very, very good, but he struggles to play 90 minutes now. Spoken about Arojo. Dane Murray's struggled. I know he played fairly well other than the 2 mistakes for the goals. I thought he played okay.
Well, they let him have the ball completely. They were totally like that. Whenever he got the ball, on you go, son. You're not going to do anything. And yeah, you're right. Rather than pick on Dane Murray, it's more about Celtic, the fact that Dane Murray's in this position. And I mean, he's played in 2 of their biggest games of the season at Tynecastle and Ibrox, and well, he's failed miserably, let's be frank.
Yeah, it's a shame for the guy, because obviously he's getting chucked into like a terrible Celtic team rather than like come through at any other point in the last X amount of years, and you're coming in with like
he wouldn't have fuck all to do. He'd just be able to stroll through it.
A settled, solid team around you to sort of cut your teeth, but he's like being thrown in to like sort of help salvage their season, so you can't really have a go at the guy too much. And then like how bad must this Arthur be? And I think it just speaks to their whole January window that this guy's not getting a look in when their defence is a shambles. Mvuka, I don't know if that's how you pronounce it, but he's nowhere to be seen. Amadou gets taken off at halftime. Kvanchara doesn't come on. He does
nothing. You forget he exists.
And it's just like this transfer window that they had is just another botched transfer window from the Celtic team.
It's impressive that they've done it so badly. It's harder for them to do it. When you look at that team, and you look at
Chamberlain off at halftime as well. Sorry,
it looks harder to become this shit for Celtic when you've got every single advantage under the sun. We've been through this a million times this season. It's like there's not a club on the planet who's had more advantages in terms of the context of the club within the league that they play in and the country that they play in. And I feel like it's harder to do what they've done than it would be to just be quite good. And like you're talking about
competent.
Yeah. Like it's harder to do that. And like you're saying with Arojo and Murray, and then there's that midfield with Nygren playing central midfield and Chamberlain. And like you're again with Murray, he's getting no protection with that. When I saw that lineup with Chamberlain and Nygren, and like Nygren's like a really weird, unique player, like almost like a poacher of a midfielder. It's really, really weird, but he's not really one that you'll be wanting in the trenches. He's not really hugely involved in the game.
No, I think just to come in on that, I think that's why Rangers went with that formation, basically, because they played a similar shape to what they played against Hearts with the two central midfielders and then the two sort of 10s just ahead of them, but they were like kind of wide. And I think part of the thinking there is going to be that, well, Nygren's like it's so weird to say, but like an empty shirt other than scoring, being the top scorer. But I mean, in terms of like a midfield battle, he obviously felt comfortable with playing the two. It changed in the second half when Hatate comes on. And again, obviously, Chamberlain just didn't look up to the pace of the game either.
I think Chamberlain, he scored that goal against Livingston, and everyone's like, it's a great set. But I think we're seeing the reality of what most of us thought is that Chamberlain isn't he really going to cut it? He's not fit. Like, especially for a player who's not fit and he's not match fit, and he's not been at it for a few years. Scotland's like the worst place for a player
really
like that.
Is. What I was about to say. Yeah.
Like, it's like when he come in, and the difference, Hatai, who just phones it in, he just decides, picks and chooses where he decides to play, and he came in, and the difference in Celtic with taking Chamberlain on and putting a Hatai who fancied it today was unreal, the difference. Because I know they kept on saying it was a game of two halves, and it was exactly the way to play it. Rangers went completely empty in the second half, but Hatate just came on and ran the show. And what Hatate's really good at is those runs into the channels, he makes your midfield, so like he always gives you an option when he does that. It's like, I know when you talk about Hatate, you look at him as like a really good like footballer who makes probing passes and stuff, but it's actually his movement, and he's willing to stretch and go into those channels makes a massive difference to the team as a whole. But I mean, let's get to those. That first Rangers goal. I mean,
yes, that's actually where I was going to go next. We'll maybe touch on the second half a wee bit more afterwards, because Celtic probably could have won the game in the end. Chermiti, he's kind of gone from joke figure. I mean, how much of this is down to Russell Martin, I'm thinking, because he still doesn't get to... Michael Moore seems to get the, Russell Martin was stifling him kind of thing. People don't really seem to say the same about Chermiti, and is there maybe a bit of truth in that? That said, he still only seems to score in the big games, but he scored a lot of goals in the big games now. And, I mean, if Rangers had gone on to win this, maybe it would have been an easier thing to say, but he still could be the guy that scores the goals. Given that it's going to be the top six and everybody's going to play each other and he's scoring in these games, he could be the guy that scores the goals that fires Rangers to the title.
And you're talking like the two goals are of like the highest quality. And like obviously the acrobatic one, and like I think he catches it properly. I hope he does. I hate people going mental about overhead kicks. I've said this before. I always bring up the Wayne Rooney one for Man United. He's not timed it right, and it's hit off his shin. He's got lucky, is what's happened there. But with that one, it's just like he catches it flush and it absolutely smashes into the net. And it sounds ridiculous, but I almost preferred the second. It's a farce from Celtic. Don't get me wrong. Like with it's right, but the little touch and turn with the spin, it's like Dennis Bergkamp stuff, and it's like
it's really nice.
Oozes quality, that bit.
Lennon said it was Larsson-esque, which I thought was right. But you're right, from a Celtic perspective, it's like a comedy of errors. Yeah, so do you think there is something in that he maybe was being held back a wee bit by the poor start that the whole team had at the start of the season?
Possibly. He's quite a weird player, like, because he's He's not particularly quick.
He still had that wild cross. Still in the first half? No, I think it was in the second half. Like, they got in a good position. He had that wild, way over hit the cross. So there's still like things to be worked on there.
And it's like for 8 million, like I see the little turn with that is like the quality, and that's what I'm presuming is what people have saw in Chermiti over his sort of career, because he's never really. This is the first time he seems to have really actually played and been like the main man at a team. But for the fact of like when he played in Portugal and then he came through and got a move to Everton, and the fact that he was going for like 8 million, but I think that's what it is. He's maybe like a backs to the wall striker. Like he plays with his back. He's got a really nice touch. You can play around him, and it's maybe like high quality rather than like his physical's been really, really good. But normally when you think about a player that you signed for that level of money in Scotland, which is like the equivalent of another team signing a player for like 80 million. If a striker coming for 8 million here, you expect him to have like be a bit more all action. Probably is just what you expect. So maybe it's more learning what Chermiti actually is rather than having an assumption of what type of player he is.
Yeah. And I wonder about the big games thing, whether it's a thing that he hasn't learned yet how to, or isn't as good against a packed defence and a low block as he is in games where there's more space for him to work in. Maybe it's something to do with that. Anyway, Rangers as a whole, after flying out the traps and could have had the game done by half-time, ended up, as you said, being a game of two halves. They made a change later in the game, Rangers, to try and get a grip of the midfield game, and Diamondi came on for Nadiri, who didn't have a great game, Nadiri, I didn't think. And then, as you said, Hatate was very influential. But what do you think it says about this Rangers team? Because Motherwell as well, they flew out the traps in that game and they got ahead. And then they seemed to, like much earlier in that game, they seemed to either lose their way or choose to sit off. I'm not entirely sure which, or if it was a bit of both. But what do you think it is? And also, there seems to be a bit of, there's not many players in this team who've won the league before. In fact, there might not have been anybody on the pitch, at least at the start of the game, who's won the league before. And there's been that sort of pressure creeping in. You can see, although they still don't really lose games, since they've got to within touching distance of the top of the league.
I mean, with Rangers, there's still like a lot of things that you don't trust them. You don't think they're like we roll. Like the thing that I really liked about Rangers in the last couple of games that I've watched them, which was against Hearts and against Celtic, where I actually thought they were quality. They looked good, rather than like when other times that I'm watching them where it's like roles sort of like playing in a way that just to get the best out of a crap team, which is what it felt like for a really long time. It was similar to like what Stephen Presley was doing at Dundee for so well. Yeah. Like he didn't have trust in the team.
But these signings were supposed to kick them on, weren't they?
Yeah, and I think they have. They have to an extent, yeah. They have definitely improved, but they're still not quite that good enough to play a full 90 minutes. But I mean, to chuck that away when you've played that well in the first half and the place is absolutely bouncing, and Celtic are vulnerable as you'll ever get them in that stage. So for them to completely run on empty going into the second half, you mentioned Diamandi coming on. He was poor when he came on, and he was really needed. You know, like when he came on, you were thinking, right, he's a first team player who they normally play, they rely on. You're thinking, right, that's a really good sub to come on at this point. And for him not to perform there, I think he's let the team down a bit, because I think that was a really key moment. Like you're saying, it was a key moment. Rangers trying to get back into the game, try to get some sort of control once again, and he failed to bring that for them. Like I said, they can still only play in flashes because simply they're still not that good. It's the frank one. But fair play to Celtic. I have to because they were ripe for taking a doing. They are. And all the context, their current malaise, the way that they played recently, getting beat off Hibs last week, they're really flagging. And this is like
played on Thursday.
Played on Thursday. The reality of like the realization that Martin O'Neill isn't just going to be able to make them win every single match, even because they're quite rubbish. And Martin O'Neill's also just not the best manager who ever lived. This sort of like it seemed to be this assumption that when O'Neill came in, everything was going to be cushy again, and they would win all the time. But the reality is, it's just not a very good team at all.
I suppose it was the first time, as that's where it's probably come from. But yes, not completely out of it, but certainly like a damaging one for both teams. And Celtic do have the chance with their game in hand in midweek coming up against
Aberdeen, and which they'll win, because Aberdeen are honestly one of the most pathetic football teams I think I've ever seen.
I was just about to move on, so let's do that now. Hearts did defeat Aberdeen 1-0 on Saturday to increase their lead at the top of the Scottish Premiership. It's now at 6 points, and that's thanks to Claudio Braga's goal, the only goal of the game. I was there. I think you've seen it, Tony. It was 1-0, but it was about as comfortable a 1-0 as you could have. There was a period towards the end of the game where Aberdeen had a bit of possession, and Derek McKenna said after the game that they had taken the decision to become the counter-attacking team for about the last 15 minutes or something like that. So they were happy to protect their lead towards the end of the game. But other than a few sort of, are they going to create something moments, there really wasn't much from Aberdeen, and there was nothing really from them before that either.
There was, I've never been more, in terms of like, obviously I want Hearts title race to derail, and I've never been more like just when I saw who they were playing, I was like, well, that's 3 points. And it's like, you know how you always go, like at these periods, you always think, oh, you're going to Hibs it, or if you're a Hearts fan, so you'll, oh, I've seen it all before. You're hammering all these teams, and then you come up against a team that never wins, so they're going to do it at this point.
Sometimes it's been Hibs. Sometimes it's been Hibs in the past.
You never feel that with Aberdeen. I don't believe that they've got it in them at all. They're just they're rancid, man. They just have absolutely nothing about them. There's just zero personality in that team whatsoever. And now they're just like, with leaving being there, they basically just, without saying it, he's going to be there to the end of the season, and they're just chugging along, waiting until the end of the season, and nobody's bothered. Everyone's probably working their ticket, and nobody cares. That's what it feels like at Aberdeen.
You're right there, because it feels like it comes from the top. It feels like from this managerial appointment, this drawn-out managerial appointment, that they have pretty much said we are going to limp towards the end of the season. Now, a cup run could save them, by the way. It looks like, similar to last season, that after that great start and they nosedive, it looks like it's all fallen into place for them, so they could salvage something in the cup. They've got Dunfermline just like they did last season as well. I have to say, they beat a very good Motherwell team, so it's not like it's already a better cup run than their one last year, I would say. But league-wise, it just seems to be that there's an acceptance from the top, and that must have an impact on the pitch. One win in 11 in the league it is.
I honestly think they look like, I'd hate to be an Aberdeen fan. I'm going to say it. I would absolutely hate it. They've spunk so much money. They've signed so many players, and you can barely call any of them like a qualified success. It's just hard, as you say now. If you're an Aberdeen fan, I would just not be going in. I'm going to be frank. If I was an Aberdeen fan, I'd be hanging up my scarf for the season, because, as you're saying, once the team.
Games.
Aye, and like like you're saying, when a club behaves like that, as a supporter, I'd be like, well, you're showing me what you're feeling, so why should I be investing any of my time into this? And with Hearts, like you saw the stats and I saw the highlights, they should have won about 4-0, let's be frank.
Yeah, I think so. I think Magnuson's got to do better with his header a couple of minutes into the game. Kabori's through 1-on-1 with the keeper and puts it wide. There were a couple other chances as well. I wouldn't say that they were completely knocking down the door the whole game or anything like that, but I think there were enough chances over the course of the game. They scored one of them, and there were so few Aberdeen chances that there was only going to be one winner. And I think it seems like Hearts are, to an extent, I don't think they're going out to win every game 1-0 from the start. I think that was a game that they went out definitely to make more comfortable, and they tried to beat Livingston more comfortably earlier in the year, and there's another one recently, whoever they played just before Rangers, it was a 1-0 that they would have wanted to be more comfortable as well. But I think there will be many more games like that between now and the end. Not that there are many games left, but there will be more games between now and the end of the season where Hearts will try to do that. I think if they have a 1-0 lead, they will try to react to the opposition's changes and to restrict them rather than to go all out to get a second goal.
Halkett, Craig.
Yes.
How good is he, and should he be on the plane?
If it's a bigger squad, I'm 100% has to be on the plane. If there's going to be another defender taken, I just, unless people can tell me otherwise, who should be there instead of him. And then even if you're looking at some of the people that are in contention, I think he's in better form than some of the players there. The only thing I would say is that it's not really how Steve Clarke works. And I think a lot will depend on the upcoming friendlies.
And this is Halkett sort of peaking as a player at 30, and he's still like
good age for a defender.
But he's still just a good Scottish Premiership defender. Mm-hmm. And I think that might... So it's one of those, like, my mate was going on about why you should get called up. But I was just like, well, it's all a bit of a shrug. Because, yes, he probably does deserve it. But at the same time, is it going to move the dial whatsoever?
No, you're right. You could argue that he's in better form, but is he going to come in and necessarily elevate Scotland? Maybe not. I don't know. But I do think that...
And he's never played at that level before. He's barely ever played in European football. So I could see why, if you were Clarke, he's just like, well, it's like the guys missed the boat.
That's why I think these friendlies will tell us a lot. Whether he makes the squad... He and Milne, I think, are the two sort of front runners from the Hearts team to potentially get a call up.
Yeah, because Milne is, and on the flip side, is like because he can play wide, and the fact that he's been playing him in a midfield role quite a lot.
I've been saying that half jokingly that Scotland should take him as a winger.
Like, man, so little options.
Exactly, that's my point.
Yeah, so even though I think it would be silly, at the same time, I find it hard to like make a case against it.
Yeah, exactly. I think half jokingly saying it is very, very apt. Yeah. So I'll tell you what, let's talk about, Hearts of the story here. I don't think we should dwell too much on Aberdeen. I think we kind of summed up their...
yeah. If they can't be arsed, I can't be arsed. There we go.
That's like sort of repeating the same things. There's a bit, there are a few sort of glimmers of players, but there is like a malaise around that team at the moment. But with Hearts, the narrative is also obviously, this is getting a bit real now. From somebody who like doesn't have a stake in it, Tony, both...
I certainly do have a stake in it.
Yeah, I know, but like from and indirectly, sort of. What do you think of Hearts' chances after this weekend? Because for me personally, I started out as a sceptic all the way through the season. Most of the season, quite a sceptic, and then can't remember exactly when I changed my mind, but certainly with these last couple of games, it's now... Because Hearts went into these, was it 6 matches before the split after losing at Ibrox? It's like, right, 6 winnable matches. Mm-hmm. Maybe the Motherwell one you can look at and thinking with their form, maybe that's not so winnable, but there's certainly winnable games coming up before that. And it's like, if Hearts can check them off, then they're going to be in a great position going into the split. And I think over these last 2, I'm thinking, well, it's a really, really great chance now. And it feels like there's something happening now.
They're strong favourites, I would say now. And the other thing about it is, like we're talking about Rangers and Celtic, is that Hearts are also the team that know who they are the most. Mm-hmm. And like in terms of like their personality, they know the type of team they are. Be that in a positive, or some people might look at that in a negative sense or whatever about Hearts, but they seem like the most comfortable in their own skin. And
other than Motherwell, but we're kind of talking about the top 3 aren't we?
Yeah, but Motherwell, as I said, if Motherwell keep the form going and then they beat Hearts at Tynecastle towards the end, then they are definitely
There's
well
Celtic
involved.
Park before that as well, so I think that these next matches, if they win all those next matches before the split, then you can't not have them in the conversation as well.
Yeah, exactly, and they are probably they're certainly the easiest team on the eye, and probably the most and probably arguably the team that always looks the most comfortable in their games. Like
he seems to have them peaking at the right time as well. Was that intentional? Was this intentional? Who is this guy? We're not even talking about Motherwell yet, sorry.
But Hearts now, we're moving into the stage where losing it would be a failure. We are getting close to that.
I hear other fans trying to do this psychology on us, trying to like make us like. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
But, I mean, 6
I
points
think
is
there's
a
ways.
lot.
I still think there's ways for Hearts to win this. There's ways for Hearts to lose this that would be a failure, and there's ways for Hearts to lose this that wouldn't be a failure.
Yeah,
I think we're still
like
in
when
that
you take
situation.
context in that.
Yeah, so I think if Hearts were to lose every game between now and the end of the season, you could not say that they've bottled it in some sort of way. Yeah. Whereas if they finish second by 2 points or something, then you can't tell me that that's not some sort of success. It's just they've...
Yeah, well, I'll be saying whatever I feel like at that stage. But yeah, in reality, yeah, it would still be an absolute unbelievable season for McInnes and Hearts. But yeah, we are... there's no way of skinning this differently. We are moving into the stage where Hearts are strong favourites, and they were getting close to the point where they should win the league.
I agree. No,
we are getting. We can't hide. You can't just keep hiding from it. We are getting to that stage.
You can't say that you're favourites, and then when you don't win it, that it's not a failure. So I agree with you there. As I said, there's just, and I know you agree with me as well, but I think there's ways to fail that would be better than others, I think. Like
I mean, it'll be the big game next week going to Rugby Park, because Hearts have had some really stinking away performances, like the St Mirren one, for example, where they just completely don't, like a game where they don't show their personality in the way that you expect them to do it. And it's like McInnes has overthought things.
Yeah.
And I think with Kilmarnock taking an absolute dull one there, Hearts should not second guess. They should treat it like they're playing at Tynecastle against Kilmarnock and just go in and try and stomp all over them. There's no reason not to.
Yeah.
And I think that'll tell you a lot about this Hearts team going in, because, as I said, there's been stinky away games over the course of it where Hearts have sort of played slightly different than what you would expect them to play. So I think that one will be a big telltale sign going into next week.
I think I agree with you. I think it's a game that Hearts just have to go out and similar to the last time they were down there. And with Tyrese John Jules being out as well, I think it's a game where Hearts can maybe not focus on the opposition as much as they do in some other matches. Let's move on to your lot, Tony, and they were up at Dens Park, a cracking game, which is down to third on the bill despite it being a 3-3 draw. The Hibs went ahead, Dundee went ahead, Hibs went ahead again, and then Cameron Congreve scored one of the goals of the season. Just like one of the most beautiful finishes, like aesthetically pleasing finishes you'll ever see. But Tony, what did you make of it? It was a bit of a bonkers game. I keep saying bonkers on this podcast. I need to stop.
Camden does you rascal. It was a really, really good game, and it's just like even if I don't start with Hibs, it's just everything. It's actually a game that encapsulates everything that's changed with Dundee. You would never have thought there was a period in this season where you would never have dreamt there being a 3-3 game at Dens Park. That would never ever happen. But this one was a ding dong battle. I think Hibs probably started slightly better. The Scarlett came in for Boyle, and with Halliday being out for Dundee, I was quite keen about that in my head, because I was thinking there was a major part of the game, in my opinion, was always going to be Iredale and Nicky Cadden going up against Congreve, and what I would have thought would have been Halliday if he was fit, but it ended up being Dre Wright. And it took Dre Wright a bit of time. It took Dundee a bit of time to get to grips with that, because I fancied it because Dre Wright's not a particularly athletic player. And I thought, well, Nicky Cadden, obviously, he's not quick. You know, he's not that type. He's not that type of winger. He can buy a yard, but he's not like a searing winger who goes dribbling past everyone. So I fancied that part, but I was like, right, going up against a less athletic player, I fancied that part of it for Hibs. And the goal comes for that at the start. McGrath linking up with Nicky Cadden, and it's a brilliant cross with Elding's header, and it's brilliant movement.
Really is.
Elding, and it's a bullet header, and he must be really impressing, because Gray's quite a cautious manager, I think would be a fair assessment of who he is. And he doesn't always rush to put his new signings in right for the word go. And the fact that he's 19 coming from the League of Ireland and he's already starting every game for Hibs and
off the
scoring
mark quickly as well, which really helps, doesn't it?
Aye, and that makes you, as I said, for Gray to do that tells me he must be flying in training for him to get that much trust going into it, and it's an absolutely brilliant header. But Dundee reacted so well to that, and I thought Dundee were really, really good for the rest of the first half, and Hibs were poor after that. They got the goal straight away. It's a really tidy run for Murray to stay on side for the goal over the top. I thought Bashiri had a pretty tough day, and I think Bashiri's had quite a few tough days recently, including against the two Dundee teams. He had a pretty poor game when Dundee United played. I think he was get fault for a couple of the goals, getting caught under it for the goals at Easter Road in that 3-2 game. And Murray gets back in it. But after that, like I said, Paslak is someone I want to go, hey, you can see, it's like you can see so much why he was able to play at such a high level, and also why he failed to continue playing at such a, because he's like such a Jekyll and Hyde. He's really good on the ball. He's really smart in his movement. He makes really clever runs into the box. He makes clever runs coming in field when he gets involved in the game. But he's poor one-on-one. And Yogain was giving him a bit of a torrid time. And it was
one of the worst wingers to play against if you're not good at one-on-one defending. But what I would say about Yogain is, for as good as he is and productive as he is at that, boy, can't he finish? Still hasn't scored a goal this season.
He would be a very frustrating. I mean, he's just like absolute classic winger. And you'll hope over, like with this season, that maybe going into next season with a bit more coaching, that he sort of catches light, because he's really good. He's got a lot going for him, and he gave Hibs a bit of a torrid time. O'Hora was always having to come out to try and support Paslak. And the interesting thing when I was talking about with out wide on the other side, that I think Hiredale done a really good job with Congreve, apart from the two times he didn't. And then one of them was when Dundee should have scored, when Congreve put a great ball in and Yogi ended up being offside, but they should have scored the header from that. That was like one of the only times Congreve got sort of change out of Iredale. I was impressed with Iredale going up against him, because I thought that might be a tough one for him, because Congreve's been really, really good. And then obviously with Congreve scoring an absolute worldie, but there was actually loads of good goals in this game. The goals, this Dundee one to go 2-1 up's a terrible goal to lose, I think, by anyone. I mean, the guy's scoring a volley for 6 yards, completely free in the box. But with Hibs, the Shuto, who, I mean, he's got 3 goals and an assist in about 150 minutes on the pitch.
So when you were talking earlier about Gray being hesitant to put his new signings in, he hasn't up front. So why? And Shuto's now scored twice off the bench. Why is he not starting? Three times off the bench. Why is he not starting?
And he's got an assist for Andrews for the goal. Like every time he's come on, and I said this on another podcast with Fowler, but I was saying the strange thing is that Shuto was like the one signing who was coming in fully match fit. He'd been playing every week in Croatia. It's not like Scarlett, who is a
academy
reserve player, and Elding was the season isn't even on at the moment. He was coming in like that, so it was quite a surprise that Shuto has been the one that's not been there. But when he has been in, and like the goal he scored is brilliant. The touch is clipped over,
unbelievable
touch. It's like you really don't fancy him. Like when you feel the ball going up, you really don't fancy him making that as a goal, and he pulls it off, and the fans are starting to fall in love with him because he's a big physical guy as well. He chucks himself about.
He's got a bit of character.
Yeah, sometimes he's got proper like sort of Eastern European, like someone you're gonna fall in love with all the stereotypes of that.
Exactly. Deliberate skinhead.
Yeah. And then McGrath's a brilliant player. It seems bizarre now because he's been here for so many years, but he's absolutely brilliant. He's the way he touches and he turns all the time. Like with so many times when we're playing well, the ball's in, he does it all in one movement. He's such a high quality player, and on top of that, he has output in terms of goals and assists. And that goal's brilliant in the last minute to tuck in like that. It's like deadly and a vicious sort of strike, and he goes over. But the problem for Hibs and the problem for Gray over his entire time is that they just simply can't see games out, even when they score in the last minute to win it. And it's just, there's no getting away from it. It's a problem. What is it shape? Is it fitness? Is it character? Is it mentality? You can list them all, but it's a coaching issue. Eventually, it does have to fall at Gray, and if that wasn't an issue for Hibs, Hibs would be like Gray would be doing an unbelievable job. You'd imagine like the
5-way title race.
yeah, but unfortunately it's not, and it really might end up working against them because I'm moved. I've said this a few times that I think Hibs could do with another coach and maybe keeping Gray on. I think there's a lot because I do sometimes look at Hibs and don't think they're a particularly well coached team. When you watch other teams, I always feel like if you watch Falkirk and Motherwell, like they so much. Whereas with Hibs, a lot of the time, I feel like it's just quality that they have. They've got good players and they dig it out like that. And in this game, in the second half, they managed to get back in it because Barlaser started to get on the ball. And when he does that, Hibs play well and he plays those amazing switches out to Cadden really quickly, which is similar to last season when they had Triatis, who would do it and he'd get out there with such high quality quickly out there. So then Cadden, it's almost like he's taking a set piece because he's got that much time because the ball's coming out to him so quickly and perfectly that he's able to wind up to get crosses, and that's when Hibs are at their best. But fair play to Dundee, and it's just hard to imagine it's the same team, and they are great to watch with Hamilton in there. He's a brilliant player. He's absolutely everywhere. He's high quality. Functional to how they actually got him. When you watch him, because he's got a lot going for him. But
guys, as well, that you're shocked to discover Scottish. Like you realise like halfway through the season that he's Scottish because he's just assumed that because he's come up from England and he's only ever played in England, you just assume that he's English.
But so it was a brilliant game. But that's the last minute stuff for Hibs. It could end up being the thing that could ultimately kill Gray in terms of and going into next season.
One of the things I want to point out before we go into the next game is the angles that they use for offsides at Dens Park are wild. I like it. Like you hear the commentator said, clearly see that's offside there. It's like one at the halfway line. And they're like, it feels like they're doing it from the corner flag. It's like, can you see that it's clearly offside? And we'll maybe come to the decision when we talk about it. But same goes for that Seville red card. The angle from that, it was behind a post. It was behind one of the posts holding up the stand.
I'm being told that he done something. I still can't. I don't see it. I can't see what's going on from mental.
There. Anyway, we are not going to talk about that. We've got one more game before we get to that. We're going to talk about Falkirk's impressive win over Kilmarnock. It finished 5-1 at the Falkirk Stadium. A pair of goals for Dylan Tate, a pair of goals for Barney Stewart. He did have another one chopped off as well, and an own goal from Brown, which came straight from kickoff, which I don't know if you noticed actually. Did you see the kickoff that Falkirk took, the way they took the kickoff? Now, they've been increasingly seen as set pieces centres, and sometimes that includes deliberately kicking it out as far as you can towards the corner flag so that you can pen the team in when they're taking a throw-in. But what Falkirk did was they made it look like they were going to do something else, but then Calvin Miller ran up the left wing and Brad Spencer just turned on the ball and played it over there into the space in front of him, and he ran onto it, and then they had the ball until they had the ball in the net, basically.
And then we had the one at Tynecastle when Hibs done the one where they just volleyed it directly up in the air.
So there has been them in the second half.
Yeah. There has been. You're right. There has been like centres been like. I don't know if it's the world of the set piece coach.
The English Premier League teams have all been doing it as well. There was an article on The Athletic earlier in the season that's
the most athletic thing I've ever heard in my life. It really is.
They analysed how every team was kicking off, basically.
I've got other things to do, man.
I'm just reading it. They're spending the hours watching it all.
But I mean, Brown, it's like, because since Falkirk in recent weeks have moved Miller back into that wide role after he had a slow start to the season, he moved him central and he really kicked off there, and they moved him back out there. And him and Stewart are starting to have a bit of a love affair in the way they're playing. But with Brown, it was like he just, because Miller does it so often, gets to the byline and cuts it back. Brown was like, oh, I've seen it so many times. I'm meant to do this. You just pop it at the bottom corner. That's what I see.
The guy behind him might have been just going to score anyway. I'm not sure who it was, but I think it was going
it away.
It's a great finish.
Yeah, it's absolutely bizarre. But I mean, what can you say that I haven't already said about Falkirk? And I love it with the guys like, we've had all the obvious ones, like I was saying, like with Calvin Miller this season, but even like guys like Yates, who's like really come onto a game. in recent weeks, playing that attacking midfield role. Him and McCann were brilliant yesterday, and Lissa is one of the best fullbacks in the league. He's an absolutely brilliant player to watch. Marauding fullback. His touch is amazing. And I just can't speak highly enough of them. They absolutely battered. Come on, if they'd scored 8 goals, come on, it could have had 0 complaints.
Yeah, I think Neil McCann said as much after the game. He didn't quite say 8, but he said it could have been a few more, a couple more. He
was losing his fucking mind. I watched the game this morning on Y-Scout, and even on Y-Scout they moved.
Oh, sorry.
Even on Y-Scout they were going to the side. We don't normally see it on something like Y-Scout. Okay. The camera was going in, and he was going schizo, having it off. So he was clearly very, very unhappy with the performance, as he should.
Not want to talk about it afterwards. He was just kind of like, yeah, weren't good enough, blah, blah, blah. All credit to Falkirk. Like every question, he was almost like repeating this, like a politician repeating the same answer. He just wanted to get out of that interview and get home, have a couple of weeks off, and then get ready for Hearts.
Because they fought, they in the midfield especially, with like Lyons and Kilty. I mean, Spencer and Tate Tate absolutely ran the show for the whole game. Watson, he's regressing for me. He's not doing particularly well. He had one shot where he came inside and he got a shot away and stung the palms of the goalie. But outside of that, he's just like not involved, which is a shame because like he was a cool player. You know, he does stuff. He was quite unique in the way he did it. He had loads of different attributes, and he was able to do a lot of sort of different things on it. He scored his goal reels, like just all sorts of really different types of goals as well. So it's a shame to see him struggle that. Curtis got absolutely no change out of McCann down there, and I just like
after a wee bit
honestly,
of promise as well.
They were just so much better. It was like hard to fathom, and that's like, I mean, I've seen Falkirk a few times. It's like obviously they battered Hibs when they were there, and they're just like it's. We keep on saying it's absolutely unreal what they've done. There's 7 of those players who are in League One. 7 of them. It doesn't. It's hard to.
University. I said last time.
Man. That's a cool story.
I know.
Away. I mean, it's going to get boring like the Andy Robertson stuff, but it is a cool story. And for him to score again, his movement's really good, and he's so good at those. He basically just scored 5 of the same goal. It all just happens, and I mean that in a really good way for a striker. There's not enough strikers who are in there to do that, and like with Miller out there with the quality he has getting it in, I could see Barney Stewart scoring a few more. And like you said, Falkirk have lost strikers. This is like 2. Like they signed one who was really good in that game at Tynecastle. He got injured. Their main striker at the start of the season injured. And they've pulled Barney Stewart back out, and he's producing the goods. It's just like one of those. It's just everything that Falkirk are touching is just turning to gold.
I reached out to Scott McClymont. Formerly, does he count as formerly of the Terrace, or is still part of the Terrace? I'm not entirely sure. But I reached out to him earlier to get his thoughts, and rather than just passing this off as my own, he suggested that maybe Barney Stewart has benefited from being in the same team as Brian Graham. And while maybe Brian Graham might not have been able to contribute as much on the pitch, he may have been very valuable for the development of Barney Stewart. And I have to point out that the last time we spoke about Falkirk on this podcast, you and I can't remember exactly when it was, I said they had 2 university players, and I got Roy Keelan Adams isn't. He came from Cumbernauld Colts, which isn't a university last time I checked. So just a wee correction from a couple of weeks ago. But another thing is Kilmarnock seem to play this diamond formation. Now, I know don't want to be too critical. I mean, this performance, yes, but it's not like throw the baby out with the bathwater, because they did get a bit of an upturn after a bit of a difficult start when it looked like it was a matter of time before McCann was going to be rolling about the floor with some of these players. They got a bit of an upturn in both results and performance, and the carpet's been pulled out from underneath them a little bit with Tyrese John Jules being ruled out. But they seem to be playing this diamond formation, and I don't know whether this was a great thing to do against Falkirk. Not only are they very strong in the wings, you've spoken about Calvin Miller there, they do like to get their fullbacks forward as well.
Mm-hmm. and they've got like the quality in the midfield with Spencer and Tate. Like I was talking about with Barlaser and Cadden, that they're able to get the balls out there really quickly with accuracy and high quality. And this is like the Diamond. It felt like the reason, rather than it's something that they wanted to do, it seemed to be the reason they were doing it was to get Anderson and John Jules in the team, which I agreed with. I thought they really complement each other as a strike force, really, really handy. But I would say you'd move towards, do you need to do that now if you don't have John Jules? Do you know, like you don't have those players anymore, so you don't have to maybe, like the rest of the team was maybe slightly to a detriment to try and get those two in, and it really worked because they don't have lots of good players, do they? So you have to try and make a way to get your better players on the park. But now that they don't have John Jules, but they do have sort of like Curtis, who's a proper out and out winger, you would maybe think, and like you think he's probably quite good in terms in the context of Kilmarnock. You'd probably want to be starting to think about creating something to now get the best out of your next best. You know, like you go, because this is what you have to do when you're shit. That is, you do have to just start going through how do I maximise the few good players that I have, and your whole tactics and style just revolves around getting those players out. It's really boring. It's boring for a fan, I always think, because I've been in that situation where watching Hibs over the year when you are doing that, but it's just like the reality when you don't have a lot to go on, that you have to figure out, right, how do I maximise this guy's talent? And I think that's what Kilmarnock will need to look to do now.
Speaking of maximising talent, Motherwell defeated Dundee United 2-0 at Fir Park. I feel like with Motherwell, a double from Tawanda Maswanise, who else? Or JT, as he was being called, as if everybody knew who that was on Sports Scene. Maswanise. It feels like Motherwell, every game now, start 1-0 up because Maswanise is going to score. And they also don't concede goals because they just keep the ball for the entire game. So are Motherwell ever going to lose a game again?
I mean, it's starting to get ridiculous. It's just because, like, I didn't even bother checking the Motherwell score.
Just assume. And it's always 2-0 now as well, isn't it? It's just always just a comfortable 2-0.
It's just like, it's actually got to the point where it's like mundane and it's always comfortable, and they're just able, regardless of who they play, they're just able to hold them at arm's length and beat them. And it's like, there's no fuss. No, like 2-0, up the road, and it's absolutely bonkers. And like with this, I thought it was really cute, and something I really like about Askew in general is that he obviously has principles and he has a style, but he's not wedded to stuff, and you really saw that in this game because they went direct. Loads.
United went man for man and they went direct.
So they're just like, right, so Dundee United are trying to counter the sort of Motherwell style, and rather than being wedded to something like, I find no bother, we'll just do this, which is what you should do. Always what you should do as a team. If someone tries to do something different and they leave, which makes them vulnerable in other ways, you should take advantage of that. You should never be so, like, even like, to be boring, and like even like Guardiola's teams go direct when the time, you know, like, and he's like the most system-based manager you could possibly ever think of.
Partly to do with like wanting a more direct approach, having somebody to go to.
So like it's just like, it's just being smart, and it's like Dundee United tried something. I thought it was a bold strategy, but like it's easy to criticise, but they're beating every single team. So is it wrong to try and to do something slightly different, even if like on the face you're like, that sounds dodgy, but they're winning every single fucking match, so maybe you should try something. Is it wrong to like try and figure something out to beat this team? But obviously they just go, I didn't worry about balls on the top. There's Mason easy at 2-0. Cheers. And like Slattery looked really, really good again. Slattery's a player that I love. I think he's a great player. I'd love him to play for Hibs. He's just such a rounded player. Anyone who listens to this will know how much of a fan, and just the way that team functions, every single play. There is not a passenger in that team, and like Saeed's came on so well as like very much like a rough diamond who does like quite daft stuff.
I was not sure what to make of him in the first couple of games.
Street player, you know, like a street player, but it's like he can see how well he's been coached as well. And it's just like,
just as maybe the player of the year. I mean, for even if
so easy on the eye,
exactly.
Perfect.
Even if Hearts go on to win the league, I mean, maybe even Masmanisi, you could argue. Like, I think maybe I thought just a couple of months ago, but maybe with Masmanisi's reason for feels like he's scored in every game for about like 15 or something now. He must be like in with a proper shout at Player of the Year as well.
Was it 20 goals now?
Yeah,
20 goals now, and there's 9 games left. So I mean, my guess would be he's going to score another 4 or 5. At least, I mean, we're talking about a Motherwell player scoring. Well, actually, I was about to say like that's weird. They fucking do it all the time.
They give strikers the best form of their career. They've done it for a long, long time now.
And he'll be going in with 25 goals, and he gets a bit of luck with the second goal, with the deflection, but the penalty. I still don't know
I think I can see what's supposed to have happened, but I think he's like sort of just for the benefit of the people watching on video. I think he's done that with the player behind him, but you can't 100% tell. I mean, that looks like what's happened because it's on the camera's like sort of on the blind side of the camera almost, and the camera's fucking miles away. The camera's in Hamilton, and they're like and behind a post, and they're trying to say that they can 100% tell. I'm not sure.
I don't understand as well how if you're giving it for violent conduct, how it's not a red card then.
Yeah, exactly. So that doesn't make sense either to me. I mean, maybe there is an explanation and I've missed something, but it seems to be that would be. I suppose actually it could be that like it's not excessive force or not violent conduct, but it's still considered a foul while the ball's in play. I suppose it could be that it doesn't cross the threshold into a red card. Maybe. But I don't know it seems like they're making a lot of conclusions from some very grainy footage that's a long way away.
And like with this season as a whole, like the games are just every quarter of the season is refereed differently. I feel like the rules change every 6 weeks.
So like there'll be like a precedent set on the VAR show, and then there'll be loads of decisions after that are given like that until they realise, we've got themselves in a bit of a muddle here. We should probably stop this. But yeah,
they're trying to make it so the VAR show becomes something to watch. Yeah. It's like they create drama off the back of it. Rather than the football feeding into the VAR show, the VAR show feeds into the football.
And then Willie Collins just turns up and is like, well, the referee's got everything right. Wouldn't you know it? The referee's got everything right. And the VAR, they were just spot on with everything. No, but even like if you look at another decision involving Hibs earlier in the season with the same player, Seville, remember was he not a handball that went in and a red card he got? Not too dissimilar to what Dejan Sterling did today, and that wasn't a red card. Now, I don't think it should have been a red card in either instance. I'm not saying that. I think the Seville one, I thought at the time that was a harsh one. But yeah, it just shows you that they're just sort of all over the place with these things.
And they're just like, and I always used to remember that used to be like, and this is the problem with things like VAR, and like I'm saying, with there being like a TV show attached to it, like it brings so much things into focus all the time. Because I remember you normally used to get like, there'd be sort of subtle changes at the start of a season where it would be made clear we're going to be refereeing like this. Decisions like that are going to be refereed like that. But that's now, as I said, just get cut up and it's sort of happening sort of every 6 to 8 weeks, and then we have a new period of that, which makes the whole like it feels like you're playing in like 4 different seasons. Yeah, and it's not fair. It's just not fair. No, it's all about timing for everyone in terms of like
Dogzo phase.
The Dogzo phase. I never even heard the word Dogzo till about, and now it's fucking everywhere. I can't hide from it. But like to move on to Dundee United again, like he's trying something. Goodwin's getting that point now where he's just like trying anything, and I don't, like when he's just like, we'll come on to like what St Mirren are sort of getting like with Robinson, where it just the team just completely changes every week, and like you just in this one again, it just like Ferrugia and sort of Waters playing up front, Fata being on the bench, Ferry being on the bench. I know they played during the week, but you're not travelling. You're not telling me that. And like Dundee United can't fathom playing 2 games in a week randomly in February. Like after you've had like a month off practically because all your games have been called off. So I found that a bit like I found that a bit strange.
Does it, without looking, have they maybe, because of those called off matches, and maybe got a lot of matches coming up in a short space of time or something?
Yeah,
so
they
it's
must
just,
do. Yeah.
Must be maybe it's like planned rotation. But I mean, I don't disagree with the sentiment of what
Maybe
you're
they're just
saying.
going, we're going to lose anyway. That's what I think with Motherwell. Motherwell have got this stage. It's like when you play Celtic, you're like, I'll just write this one
these
off.
Players, keep the other ones. Keep the other ones for the more winnable ones. I think they got St Mirren at home coming up midweek actually, because the predictions went up and our terrace predictions went up recently. But yes, I think similar to Aberdeen, it's a season that feels like it. If they had their excitement early in the season, and now it feels like it's just sort of like trundled, and it just seems to be petering out for them as like it is for Aberdeen. Yeah,
and they're not going to be in any danger, so it's just going to be dull as dishwater towards the end of the season. If you're a Dundee United fan, and you're going to watch games on a fucking tatty field where it's like the games are going to be absolutely crap as well. So it's like, again, like I'm in the same boat, lads. Don't worry. Like, get this fucking season in the bin. Let's get up the road.
Yes, indeed. Let's get up the road. We're going to go a wee bit over time, but we've got one game left, and that Livingston won, St Mirren won. I mean, I said this yesterday when I saw the fixtures when I was sitting at Tynecastle, but I feel like these guys play each other every 2 weeks, and I feel like they just draw 1-1 every time they play against each other, and that's what it was again. This time a goal from Dan and Lundaloo, cancelled out by Kabongolo later on in the game. Tony, not really a point that doesn't really do either team any favours, I think, although Robinson did seem a wee bit more pleased with the point at the end of the game. I think he was seeing it as an unbeaten week for them.
Oh, fucking hell.
Well, they won. I think they won away from home in midweek, so they got he wanted 4 points from the 2 games, and he was happy with
what
that.
A life to lead. They've got to say, we've got an unbeaten week. Whoa, wow, brilliant. But that's what happens when you're in that really, really bad way. You do have to make these sort of like little small context periods to try and as a way, it's almost like to create a mindset to try and change things. And this time he went back to like sort of his old guard, the guys that he you looked at that team and it was like, that's a St Mirren team that I would name off the bat if
getting players back to fitness now, yeah.
And but a lot of the time it's like I said, he's went through a bit of times where he's almost fallen out of love with these charges, like Robinson's a guy who likes to use like 15 guys. He's not a guy who like we always uses millions of players. He does like to have like a tight unit, but obviously they were letting him down so much that he eventually had to start. It was almost like he was trying to force like a change out of them. Like the mentality. It does feel like, I think maybe someone else was saying this. Maybe Fowler was saying it last week on the podcast, talking about like it's a team that just feels like it's completed it. And maybe a lot of guys are just like, they've checked out. And it is very possible.
I feel like ideally for him, I'm not saying that he's intentionally like, I've completed, like you're saying there, I've completed it, like what else can I do? Maybe like quietly thinking to himself that he wanted a move. It was the right time for a move. But I think that was really the time, wasn't it, for him? It was like, it felt like winning the cup, top 6 3 seasons in a row. It felt like he's earned it. He's earned for somebody to come in and give him that next move.
That's the same with players. Like a lot of them might have checked out. They've been there for a while. There's just nothing else to do, is there? Like, there's no way of like, you can't improve on it. And I think that does breed. And I'm not saying they're thinking this. It can all be like subconscious in the way it is. And I do feel it as. So he went back to his old charge. He done his lottery up front, which I mean the front two changes every single half. It feels like with St Mirren, but he went back to the sort of like what was working in the maybe the earlier part of the season with Lundaloo and Manger up front, and they actually combined for the goal. It's a pretty tidy header for Lundaloo. He's another one out of like the few players in the league. He's one of the ones that has like the lowest floor and a very high ceiling.
Even that goal, Tony. So see the build up to the goal.
It's all over the shop.
Yeah. So he should pass it. Like 3 or 4 times he has a beat where he can pass it. Keeps going, gets closed down, falls over just towards the end of the ball. I mean, it's like under pressure.
Really handballs it.
I don't mean he just falls over. They check the goal for it. But even when he's on the floor, rather than he stabs out a leg, but rather than try and find a teammate, he's still trying to shoot while he's on the floor. He's still trying to shoot. But you're right, it's a great header after that. I thought he was going to come onto a game and be brilliant, but you're right. I think that's a really good way of putting it. It looks like he's got like such a low ceiling and such a, no, sorry, the other way about, you know what I mean? Low floor, high ceiling.
Aye. And it's like a really, really frustrating player. Like really, you'd be tearing your hair out with him up there. But like he had a good game there, and obviously, as I said, the front two combined. But
what about
that goal they lose? Submitted is honking. Like a looped cross for like near enough the halfway line. It's a nothing
with a
ball and
centre half save got.
Like just you should never be losing a goal like that. And it's a tidy header. And Kabongolo's obviously sort of tearing up front, which is cool. But
what do you think about this for Livy, right? Because they now have, I think that's maybe off the top of my head, the last 4 games they've performed well, might even be 5. Basically under Bartley, the performances have improved under Bartley.
Definitely.
Still not won a game though. Is that something, and with the gap that there is at the bottom of the league there, is that a what's the word I'm looking for? A bad sign because they're performing well and still not getting that win? Or is it encouraging that the performances are there and the results should still come at some point?
Nah, I think it's a bad sign. Because Livingston aren't that good even. Like, so I imagine they will have a downturn in this game. At Bartley, the way he was talking, I didn't watch this one. This is one I didn't watch 90 minutes of it. But the way he was talking is that he didn't feel Livingston played that well, which ends up making me think that maybe Livingston are come out of form, and they didn't pick up any wins during that period.
Right.
And obviously, they've got to the stage with the signings that they made. It is just like darts at a board, isn't it? Like, I mean, Newbley's back.
Bringing Newbley back.
Barry Mackay's turned up, you know, it's like, so I just...
You putting that cross?
Well, it's a bit... I'm looking forward to seeing Newbley. Don't get me wrong. I was a big Newbley guy when he was here the first time out, and I'm glad to see him back. But the 3-5-2 does seem to suit them, and I do like Smith. I've said this, but the last time I was on a pod, I do like the way that they use Smith. It's almost like how Hibs had Boyle last season in that front two in a 3-5-2. I think it really suits Smith because, again, like I was saying earlier on when I was talking about with Kilmarnock about trying to get your sort of better players. Livingston don't have loads of really good players. Smith's relatively handy. So it's like trying to create a scenario where he can just sort of manoeuvre around the pitch and go and get on the ball and try and make things happen and get into positions where he can hit some shots. So I do like that. I can see once he settles with maybe Newbley and Smith playing up front, and they might be able to, if it's the Newbley, not the last season Newbley, who was absolutely garbage, but the Newbley before that, maybe they might win a game. Who knows? We can all maybe they'll get to have a laugh at some point, because you do start to, for Livingston fans, I mean, say what you want, and like obviously I know a lot of people hate Livingston as a club because just aesthetically they're just not that great a club, like just the way that they are, and obviously, but for the fans of them who don't go and support Rangers, they have my respect. You know what I mean? It's not an easy club to go and win. It's like Livingston is almost like a, you know, it's like a new town almost. It's like it was sort of built up as like a, like for almost for commuting. It's like a commuting town. It was built there for people rather than it having like tons of its own sort of culture. Like, I don't want to be offensive, but nobody goes, I'm going for a weekend in Livingston. You know what I mean? So it's not just like, it's just not like particularly cool would be the way I'm going to put it. So I feel for them. It's a lot. And the fact that you're still going, it'd be easy to fucking say, I can't be fucked with this. So, very, very easy. So as I said, I hope they get a win soon just so they can have a night out, frankly.
There might be a wee bit of hope from a couple of those new signings maybe being up to scratch. I mean the ones that they've signed that aren't match fit, basically, because there are a few, like the left back. I don't just mean the obvious ones, like you've mentioned Newbley and Barry Mackay, but like Fatty, the left back, and Danso, they both seem to be seeing a lot of game time. So maybe maybe once they are a wee bit more up to speed, or as they sort of get up to speed, they might get something out of them as well.
And it suits for Wilson and McGowan. Probably a back three probably suits them a lot better than like being in a central defence term, because even though, don't get me wrong, I think when I see McGowan sprinting out to the wide areas and getting caught up by wingers, I'm like, how can you be arsed, man? This is not what he wants. This is not what this man wants.
Coming back from that injury, man.
Yeah, just like being pulled wide, going up against wingers in the wide areas is not what McGowan wants to be doing at this stage in his life, I'm assuming.
Right, we are going to leave it there. I'm going to go get a Pepe's chicken and then play a wee bit more of the new Resident Evil. What are you up to, Tony?
Well, I'm a wee bit hungover, if I'm honest, but this has been quite good. Sort of flashes out of it because you have to talk and you have to get on board. But I'm going to be frank, I'm just going to crawl back through to my couch and just stare at something. I got a chicken cottage earlier from Gorgie Road, actually near Tynecastle.
Oh, okay.
Delivered. Very good.
Really?
Yeah, chicken. It's like I'm a big fan of franchise chicken shops. Let me tell you. I'm sure you'll not be surprised to know. So it's but yeah, it's really good, really fresh, really crispy. I was surprised. I would thought this.
Well, I'd recommend
these places can be shit.
I'd recommend the Pepe's if you haven't had one.
Yeah, I've been at Pepe's. Don't worry, I've had a Pepe's. Don't you worry. If it's fast food, I've had it. I can assure you.
I'm relatively new to it. That's why I wasn't
it's
sure.
It's tasty though, because it's like grilled chicken. It is nice. It's not like in terms of like fast food takeaways.
Yes, exactly.
The fresher side. You don't feel like shit. Yeah, you don't feel like shit after you've eaten it.
Yeah, exactly. You don't feel terrible about yourself. And I am, after this unplanned ad, I'm going to be asking for my Pepe's chicken for free now and see if that's going to work. Right.
Resident Evil, can't play it, Craig, because I just get too scared.
Oh, this one's like they've doubled down on the survival horror in this one.
They jump the scare, so I can't do that. I can't press the buttons fast enough, and I just end up there because I quite literally get fright.
Yeah, this one's mental. There's a part of it that I'm in just now where you start off with pretty much nothing, and you've got to work out ways to avoid and get around them and stuff. And it's absolutely, I'm bricking it a lot of the time. It's good fun, and I'm about to go do more of it now. Thank you to everybody for joining us. You can get more Terrace Podcast at patreon.com/Terrace Podcast. There's plenty of content going up there almost daily. We'll be back with the usual lower league show later on in the week. And until then, we'll speak to you all soon.